Hey everyone, welcome back. This is BK Motors and Mayhem. I know it's been about a week or 2 weeks by the time this video comes out that I've released one, but again, spending some time letting my arm heal, and I had to replace the chimney out here in my garage so I would have heat again because it disintegrated on me. So there's been a couple reasons why, but don't worry, we are back. And also, I will say this ahead of time so you guys do know is that over the winter time, I will probably be releasing a video every other week. I'm not sure if this will now carry on, but once the snow falls, it will become difficult for me to A, get out here and move bikes in and out of the garage, and B, it will be a lot colder to work out here. As you can tell, my garage isn't insulated or anything else. So, yeah, but moving on from that, we are hopping right back onto the Kawasaki, and we are going to be trying and doing something a little ambitious this week. Frankly, I'm not looking forward to it. And that is trying to get the snapped off drain plug out. So it could go one or two ways. It could easily come out and I can install the new one and we could be done with this whole fiasco. Or it cannot come out. We snap an easy off out in it, which you guys know how it goes, and we drill straight through. So then it's constantly going to leak oil, and we have a whole fiasco and can of worms that we have to deal with. So there are the problems, and now you know why I'm a little hesitant on trying to get this drain plug out, and why I've been also putting it off. But needless to say, it needs to happen because I have seen some of the oil that is in there that has come out from the side covers being removed, and it is not great. So, with all that laid out on the table, we're going to hop in and we are going to try and do that. Now, by doing this, I'm going to do something that usually isn't quite recommended with a bike, but that's why I never put oil back in it. And we are going to flip this puppy upside down. I'm not going to try and take the engine out and flip the engine upside down on a bench table and work at it that way and this, that, and the other thing. I'm just going to take everything off the bike, like the gas tank that now has gas in it from previous video, and the oil tank off, flip the bike upside down, drill, tap it, try and get it out. I think at least then it will be a decent work height for me, probably, right about here. Won't have to bend over much, won't have to lay the bike on its side and lay on the ground. None of that nonsense. Just flip it upside down, drill a hole, try and get an easy out in there, and try and get the drain plug out. So that is the plan. So to do that, we got to get started by removing the gas tank and either removing or taking off and setting aside, still leaving the oil line attached, the oil tank. So, with all that said, let's get started and let's dive right in. Okay, so we're going to start by removing the tank. It's not bolted on or anything, just held in with the fuel lines and the transfer line. So, we're just going to pop these off. That was easy. Now we're going to pop the transfer line off and try and be quick with the tank to get it up and off. So I don't lose all my gas. There we go. Some quick work there, I tell you. Now, this is about half full of two-stroke oil. So I'm contemplating on how I should do this. I'm wondering if I can just remove this bottom bolt here, drain the oil out into a jug, and then just leave it on. I think I might do that. Now I need to find a jug, so I'll be right back. Okay, so got my jug, funnel, wrench. Just going to undo this bolt now. And hope that I am able to save most of the oil. Ooh, there's more in there than I thought. A screen, ain't that fancy. Okay, now I'm going to be sitting here for a good minute while this drains. All right, so I will continue to sit here for a good 5 to 10 minutes, let this drain out, and I will be back with you guys in a minute. Okay, so after I got the oil drained out, I went ahead, flipped the bike over, and now we can see what we are working with. And I will say this, guys, do not do this at home. Do not snap your drain plug off. Now, it wasn't me that did it. I know that's always how the story goes. I didn't do it. It wasn't me. He did it. But legit, I did not snap this off. It came snapped off, and I found it like that when I tried to drain the oil out and met with that. I can see why it did snap off once I've seen the new one and see that this one snapped off. Frankly, it's just not a big enough bolt. It's a bit of a poor design. They almost needed a bigger bolt in there. The head's probably, I don't know, about that big around. It's the diameter of that. And then you got your little threads. So as you can see, that would be why. But that is what we are working with. So now for the not so fun part, trying to drill that out. And I can promise you, this is going to be an ordeal. So, well, I guess let's get to it. Okay, so I've come up with a bit of an idea. Before I go ham on trying to drill this out and put an easy out in it and all that fun stuff, there's a bit of a lip on this. If you come in here, you can look at it. There's a bit of a lip right there. I'm wondering if I can take a flathead screwdriver like so and see if I can sort of tap it loose. Oh my goodness. Okay, this was not planned. I can promise you that. But it's threading out. That bolt actually wasn't tight at all. It was maybe finger tight like everything else on this bike was. Figured this bolt would have been seized or something, but that just wasn't tight at all. And look at that. There she be. Like I was saying earlier, you can see why it snapped because you can see where it's a lot thinner near the top, whereas it's a lot thicker near the bottom. Boy, is that full of crud in there too. Oh. Sure. There we go. Knock that back in there. Flush it out with some fresh oil later on. So I'll set that aside. I'm going to go get the new drain plug. Hopefully it's the correct one and install that. All right, guys, here we go. Brand new drain plug. Apparently this was a new old stock. And there we go. Threads right in, no problem. Look at that. Wow. Done. Perfect. She is back. Got a functioning drain plug. How awesome is that? Guys, that is so exciting because I definitely thought this was going to turn into an event. I'd already cleared my week out ahead of time to drill and tap that out, and even if need be, put some new threads in it and put a bigger bolt in it, because that is exactly what I figured this would have happened and turned into, but clearly it did not. Heck, I almost didn't even need to flip this thing upside down. Just give it a little tap with a screwdriver and a hammer, and out she would have came. But there you have it. She's back in, good to go. All right, everyone. So we are back. Is now a couple days later. I have the bike flipped back over and ready for some fresh oil. But before I go ahead and dump in the good stuff, I'm just going to dump in a little bit of leftover oil I have sitting around. I'm going to dump that in, fill it up a little bit so I can really flush out some of that old stuff, sort of mix in and see if it'll help get rid of that old cruddy oil that's in it. So that is what I'm going to do right now. Just going to go ahead. Now on these old two strokes from back in the day, the bottom end oil really didn't matter. A lot of them even used just simple two-stroke oil because it was just for the transmission, just for gear lubrication pretty much. So they used virtually just about anything. I'm going to be using some Castrol 10W40. Just going to go ahead, dump it right in. A little too much there. That's okay. I'm just going to dump all of this in, what's left. And I'm just going to let it sit for a minute to hopefully work in a little bit and help flush out some of that crud that was in it. And then we'll go ahead, drain it all with that nice new fancy drain plug, if I don't say. And drain it all out and add in some fresh oil. So I'm going to let this sit for a little minute. Maybe give her a shake around. Actually, I think I'll even add back in the two-stroke oil since I don't see me having to flip it upside down again. I will go ahead and do all this while that is just hanging out, doing its thing in the bottom end. Also going to go ahead, slap back on the air filter. I took it off just in case because I'm not sure how this air intake contraption works on this bike, but I wasn't sure if it would interfere with a oil cavity, and I didn't want this to fill up with oil. But it did not. So, but better to be safe than sorry. So I will go ahead, slap that back on. There she goes. Get my oil pan already over here. $17 wrench, knee pad, and we will be all set for when this is good to go. I'll just let it sit in there a little longer, you know, for a couple shake-ups, maybe even, that's in gear. I'm not going to bother trying to do that then, but we'll let that mix in there. Like I said, we'll just shake her up a couple times, like a good old milkshake there. All right, that is probably good enough. So I will go ahead, drain the oil. I don't think it looks too bad. But mind you, I know how well it mixed in there. So, probably have to do, once we get this bike running and on the road, I'll probably have to do another oil change almost straight after I get it running and riding on the road. But that is okay. Okay, so now with that little, we'll call it a flush, is done, I'm going to go ahead, add in the proper amount of oil, and we will call that good enough. I think this takes about 4 liters or so. So we'll start there and we'll go from there. Now we'll check to see how good we're looking on that dipstick. All right, so fresh oil is in. I did overfill it just a little bit, again, to help get out any grimy stuff that might be in there. And I'll flush it again a little bit. But for now, I say that is about good enough. I'll let that sit, let it soak into everything, get everything working again, and oil flowing into stuff that it should be flowing into. So, especially with it a little overfilled, it'll be, you know, really flowing into those bearings than what it would normally be. Getting a lot more into those cracks and crevices than it should be. So I say that is about good enough for now. go ahead, clean up here for a little minute, and I'll be right back. Now I'm just going to go ahead, slap the tank back on, get my pliers ready, because I know that'll probably dump fuel out from that line. I can remember what drawer they're in. There we go. Okay. Nothing like some fuel right down the arm, you know? Really helps. Okay, there we go. All right, tank is back on. Rehooking up the fuel lines here. Okay, that's good enough then. Turn on. Just cause. And fuel back in these carbs a little bit. So these carbs can be a bit of a pain in the butt to make sure that they have fuel going to them. And, well, not make sure, but to get fuel going to them, you really have to sort of bleed the lines a bit. So, that is not fun. I can tell you that. All right. Well, I say she is about good to go. Now, there is one more thing I would like to show you guys and talk to you about. And that is the side panel. Now, if you guys remember what it looked like, I'll either attach a little video of what it looked like before from previous videos or maybe some photographs or something. But the side panel here, it was in pretty rough shape, definitely needed some help, but it was intact and no rust holes, no rot holes straight through it. So I was pretty happy with it. It just needed some really good cleaning up. So I'd actually gone ahead and taken it over to, call it BK Motors and Mayhem East. And over there, I have a compressor that is working somewhat until I get mine properly working. And sandblasted it. Now, I did take some video of it. It was a little short and probably not the greatest. Not much audio to be had either. But I did sandblast it. And I will attach that footage in this video. So probably after I'm done talking. And sandblasted the entire panel. Got it looking really good. I did have problems with the sandblaster that I was using that you guys will see in that video. So I had to actually run out, get a new sandblaster, a better one, then continue on the next day with sandblasting it because that one was just not working very well. You may or may not notice that in the video, but it was quite a pain in the butt to use. So I did sandblast it, got it sandblasted, got it cleaned up really nice. And I will go ahead and show that to you guys now. And now it is just about ready for maybe paint or more coats of primer at least. It only has one really cruddy coat of primer on it right now. So it needs a couple more layers of primer at minimum. But we got it at least in the spot now where it's clean and we can start and work with it. All right, so now that you guys are back from the past and back into the present, this is the panel here, all finished up. Looks really good. Again, this is just one coat of primer on it. It ran a little bit on me, so I have to sand it out, clean it up a little more before I put any more primer on it. But this is it here. Just got a couple little dents in it. Got one here. I think there's another one somewhere else. I'm not too sure if I want to try and tap those out with hammer and dolly, or if we'll just leave them in as character pieces on the bike, because as you guys see, she's not perfect. But so here she is. I think she turned out pretty good, other than, like I said, some runs of the primer right here, but that's okay. Sand those out quick, slap on some more primer. I only did one really thin coat on it, so I think it turned out all right. And it leaves me on the fence. I'm not too sure what I should do with the tank, with how okay the sandblasting went. If I should go ahead sandblast the tank. I mean, it does have chrome and everything else on it. I'm not sure if that's removable. Again, if you guys know, let me know in the comments if that chrome can come off the tank. That way, then it'll make it a lot easier for me. But for now, I'm not too sure what I want to do. If I want to try and just sand it out, or if I should just go ahead and sandblast it. But for now, that's later on Brandon's problem. Not right now, Brandon's problem. So I think with all that said, I'm going to go ahead and leave you guys there. I'm going to go eat some chow, go inside where it's a little warmer, and enjoy the rest of my evening. So until next week, guys, don't forget, leave a comment down below, like, subscribe, and this is BK Motors of Mayhem, out, and I'll see you in the next one.